Scientists, engineers, doctors being whisked away in the night. Is the government hiding these people in underground shelters?
It takes some pretty convincing actors to keep us along for a ride, especially there's only 2 of them on screen for a while, and that's exactly what's happening in a movie called Air. The premise here is interesting because there are 2 men that we're following here, Reedus and Djimon Hounsou, play these tech guys, these guys that are basically engineers. They fix this area that is housing smart people in pods that they're going to later help recreate the Earth, because basically they survived a catastrophic event.
It's an apocalypse all over the Earth, and they're sort of housed inside of this abandoned missile silo, and there's all of these different areas and ducts and things like that that are interconnected, and they've got to make sure that everything is working, and then they put themselves to sleep for a while and wake up.
For 6 months?
Yeah, and then they wake up and they're the tech crew that makes sure that everybody survives.
You having a nightmare, buddy?
Right. So when they wake up, they have to make sure things get done, but in an hour and a half or however long it is, because their air that they can breathe will run out.
Very Lost-like. Didn't it remind you of the hatch in Lost?
Very Lost-like indeed. There are a lot of things that this movie reminded me of, actually, but it seemed to be all contained, and it was all contained in this very small area. So the budget must not have been that big.
Nope, this is the first movie that's being produced by Skybound Entertainment. Now, you know Skybound because you see that title pop up at the end of every episode of The Walking Dead. This is Robert Kirkman's production company, and of course he is the writer of the Walking Dead comic books, so this is him kind of extending his reach into Hollywood and getting movies financed like this. And it's also the directing debut of Christian Cantamessa, who's worked in the video game industry, working on cut sequences on things like Red Dead Redemption. And Norman Reedus, he's become such a powerhouse superstar because of The Walking Dead.
It's really so funny because he really just ends up playing the same character in everything he does. So he's Joe Cool, so let's hire a Norman Reedus type character. Okay, let's just get Norman Reedus. So that's exactly what it seems like here, and obviously he has a relationship with Robert Kirkman.
Yeah, and well, part of the problem, though, is that he's got the look for The Walking Dead, and he's in between seasons, so he can't really change who he is. He's so cool.
He's so cool all the time.
You know, he's basically a janitor in this damn movie, and he's the coolest janitor you've ever seen, you know?
For sure, yeah, and so the entertainment here comes from the dynamic between the 2 characters, because they don't really know each other, they just met in this situation, so they wake up, they do their thing, they have to go back to sleep, but problems arise.
You know, people start to go a little cuckoo when they're confined like that.
All cooped up. You're eating things out of sealed bags.
Yep.
That's going to mess with your mind.
And they don't really have any other connections. They don't have any family. They've got pictures up of people that they've loved and stuff like that. I thought all of that stuff was interesting and well handled, and I thought for a first-time director, they really shot the hell out of the little areas that they had to work in, the sets
they
in the
used every
studio.
corner.
But I think when you're making a movie, and we saw this with the Fantastic Four as well, that there's an expectation that you're going to take your camera outside and do some things and show us some of the world, you know, show us some stuff. And you don't really get that in this movie.
I also have to say, I don't want to spoil anything, but I really hated the ending of this movie. It just seemed to okay, well, everything's going to wrap up in a nice little package then. Like, it didn't really make any sense to me why they had to end it that way. I didn't want to spoil anything, of course, but things could have just been left unsaid. I don't have a lot of positive things to say about it, but I don't have a lot of negative things to say. It's just kind of okay. It's okay.
It's okay. What are you going to give it?
Well, it gets an okay score, 6.
That gets a 5 for me. EP's movie coverage is brought to you by Nintendo, makers of Splatoon for the Wii U.